According to Brett Siegel, source, the Warriors are keeping an eye on Cam Johnson trade talks between the Pacers and Nets due to Aaron Nesmith's possible involvement. Now, Brett Siegel, NBA writer, guy, comes out with a lot of rumors. Not exactly Woj or Shams, right? His track record isn't the greatest, but he drops some tidbits and definitely has some sources. Now, Aaron Nesmith is a player that I scouted heavily in the 2020 draft because that year we all had a lot of time to do a lot of scouting. Warrior fans, that's the Wiseman draft. Nesmith was at Vanderbilt, but had a broken foot, put up a ton of points, was a scorer there, but broke his foot, and I think teams were nervous about that. One, the conference he played in, as well as this foot that had him out for most of that his final year there. So he slides to the last pick in the lottery that year, 14th to the Boston Celtics. And he kind of gets buried there. You got Tatum, you got Brown. He's kind of, he's that archetype of player. He doesn't get a ton of opportunity. He ends up getting traded to Indiana, where he finally kind of finds a home and breaks out. He shot 41% from three-point line last year, played 27 minutes, 12 points a game, 4 rebounds. And for a Warriors fan perspective, if you're not familiar with this game, I'll give you a comp. Think Kent Bazemore with some nasty. He's 6'5", 215, but he plays bigger than he's listed. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He has a super high motor, right? And he's really aggressive, really physical, sometimes too aggressive, sometimes too physical. But he is a player who is going to raise the energy and urgency on the floor, be able to defend multiple positions, and shoot the three ball. Here's the catch. He's only played 6 games this season for the Pacers. He hurt his ankle November 1st against the Pelicans and still has not returned. We're talking about Kuminga's ankle right now and thinking about that window. This dude hurt his ankle November 1st and still has not returned. Ankles, there's a wide margin for returns on that, but that's a bit concerning. But hypothetically, if the Pacers were to land Cam Johnson and he was part of the deal, could we swoop in and reroute Nesmith to the Warriors? He's on an $11 million contract. That's the last part about it. In 2023, he signed a 3-year, $33 million deal. Right now, that sounds like a heck of a deal, right? Considering the market. And so he's got an extra year of that 11 mil after this season. And so it would take something like GP2 and Guy Santos or something along those lines to find that 11 million to match it. And then you'd probably have to throw in some more picks. I'm not saying a first round pick, but something to sweeten the pot for the Brooklyn Nets. And then all of a sudden you have a guy, granted, it sounds like he's getting ready to return, but it could be sort of a low risk, high reward move. He's 25 years old. And he's a guy that you can slot in and fit along a lot of guys because of his ability to shoot the three, because of his ability to guard multiple positions. I know what some of you are going to say. Well, we've already got Moses Moody, right? Well, Nesmith's a better defender than Moses Moody. He's a much better defender than Moses Moody. And that's the catch. Because it's funny, I saw a clip going around again of Steve Kerr saying, they're asking him about Moses' playing time, and he's like, Moses is it's a log jam, and he's just got to continue to be who he is and do what he does and wait for his opportunity. You know what I don't like about that is, obviously we remember a couple weeks ago when Kerr calls Kuminga out about the mid-rangers in the shot selection, right? Call Moody out about his defense. For those of you, I get it in live time. We don't see Moody a lot. You want to be positive about it, but someone who watches the tape, Moody gives up more blow-bys than anybody on the Warriors roster. Now, not literally because he doesn't play enough minutes, like if you had to count for them, but like minute to minute when Moody's out there, he gets blown by more than anybody else on the roster. That's why Moses just can't crack the rotation like people want him to. Offensively, listen, if he was as good as we had hoped for and he was just solid, he'd have been the starting 2 guard. I promise you that. Its offense is not the issue. The defensive end is the issue for Moody, his distance management, his lateral, the angles he takes, and so Nesmith would be a lot like Moses Moody, only a much better defensive player, and that intrigues me. I've liked Nesmith. I liked him coming out of Vanderbilt. I didn't think he got quite an opportunity he should have in Boston, and then he's found a home in Indiana. And look, I know we're all focused on landing this big difference-making move, But the reality is it may be a couple of sneaky, smaller moves that equate to a bigger impact. We've already made the Schroeder move, and he's starting to figure it out and pay dividends, right? If you could get Nesmith for at a fair value like that, and then Vucevic, something like that, that could equate to drastic change with the Warriors rather than landing a big star player. So let me know what y'all think about Aaron Nesmith and the possibility of swooping him in, because I like it. I think that would be a sneaky move. I was surprised to even hear his name on the trade market, but it would make sense if they're going after Cam Johnson and looking for something a little different. Plus, Indiana has somewhat of a logjam there with Benedict Mathurin, right? But yeah, I've been a fan of Nesmith. I think he would fit. I think he would give us some juice. He would give us some energy, be able to guard multiple positions. The question, just like at Vanderbilt, is the health. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? But again, if we could get him on the low, I definitely think it would be worthwhile adding him to the roster and seeing what he could do. I know some of you are probably in the comments right now talking about, hey, slow news day out, slow news day. I mean, kind of. I just Nesmith again. I'm truly a fan of his, and I would be excited about that move. But yeah, we're sitting here waiting for this Heat matchup tonight. Miami loses in double overtime in Sacramento last night after blowing a 17-point fourth quarter lead. DeRozan went crazy in the second overtime, and the Heat's offense absolutely sputtered. I'm not really sure what type of shots they were getting there in those overtimes. They ran out of gas. And so what I'll say about this matchup tonight against the Heat, if somehow, some way Miami comes out with more juice than the Warriors tonight, with more energy and more physicality, I'm declaring it a state of emergency. Like that would be a bad look, especially when you consider what the Warriors looked like the other night against the Kings, right? You imagine the Warriors are going to have a spirited effort after being humiliated against the Kings the other night, and you combine that with the Heat on the end of a long West Coast road trip, a double overtime game. They're depleted. They've got a bunch of turmoil in their locker room. I'm not saying it's going to be a game where they roll over per se. We know Heat culture, and Spo has them ready to play every night, but the Warriors should relatively win this game comfortably down the stretch if they come out with the energy and intensity that they should come out with. We should come out with. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, let me know what y'all think about the possibility of Nesmith, or if there's another name. That's what I'm more curious about. We've all heard about Cam Johnson. We've all heard about Vucevic. What about Zion? No to Jimmy, right? We've all heard the same names over and over again. I'm more curious about a name like Nesmith. Some of these guys that are sneaky good players that could maybe be available or gotten for far less and could still impact the team moving forward. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.